So you're no longer writing the same code that you used to write with the help of LLMs. Your code is the LLM now. Your code is the LLM plus instructions and an infinite loop. So you're essentially like writing those agents. Like that's what it means. And we're in the middle of that right now.
Do you have a favorite example of that so far that you've actually deployed and is working?
Yeah, of course. The most obvious one is what we call the policy agent. So most companies have a travel and expense management policy. It's generally a document. Sometimes it's well written and clear, and sometimes it's not. But it's essentially a document that you write to drive the behaviors of people in the company and how they manage their expenses, right? In the old world, people make transactions. Before they make the transaction, sometimes they'll go and check the expense report. Sometimes they try to remember it from memory. They'll make a transaction. They'll file an expense report, and some manager will try to make sure that some manager or someone on the finance team will try to make sure that the expense that was made by the employee actually abides by the rules of the expense policy. It's very manual. Generally, the transactions are missing context, so there's a lot of back and forth between the people enforcing the policy and the people who made the transaction. It takes a lot of time. So we've built our policy agent in a way that it has more context about the transaction than most people reviewing those transactions today. So it's integrated with your calendar, it's integrated with your email, it knows your expense policy, et cetera. And more context about the policy than any employee. So it can run 24/7 as transaction come in and apply the logic of the expense policy against these transactions and decide whether something is in policy or not. And do that a lot more efficiently than any human. So you have a 24/7 live enforcement of your policy. And not only that, but as it runs over time, it gets better at advising how to make the policy a little bit clearer or easier to interpret, and your policy becomes better and better over time. You essentially have this living, breathing text document that can evolve over time that's guiding an agent that has access to tools like your calendar, email, et cetera, on how to classify transactions. And that same principle applies in so many different parts of the company. Now, the good thing about expense policies is most companies have them, but companies do all sorts of things that sometimes are not written down that can be very easily automated by agents. So for example, when you receive an invoice as a company, what do you do? It's like, well, you do a couple things. One, you make sure that the invoice is not fraudulent, maybe. You make sure that you're being invoiced for a product that you've actually ordered, a product that you've actually received. You make sure that the price matches what you had negotiated. So there's a lot of steps that actually happen before and after any payment that a company makes. And most of the time, they're not very well documented. And a lot of the work that we're doing right now is because we have so many interesting customers and they're using the product to run their finances, we can infer a lot of these policies through their behavior. And a lot of those policies that we're inferring are driving the next generation of agents that we're building.
So if I go back to like day one of Ramp and this notion that you need a way to know what's being spent where and how and why by whom,